Hey guys, Lelis here. Today I'm gonna show you something really amazing. I'm gonna show unboxing and setup of the 3D holographic fan display. If you don't know what it is, I'm gonna explain it in just a second. But before that, I just wanna mention something. I'm going to be using AI voiceover. It's just easier for me to do and it's easier for you to understand. You'll know that it's AI because
It's not gonna sound like me. Instead, it's going to sound like this.
but when you see my face, you're gonna hear me. All right, let's go.
Before we start, what is a holographic fan display? This isn't a screen. It's just blinking LEDs spinning fast enough to trick your brain. Your eyes blend the gaps into words. It's called a persistence of vision, or POV. And no, I didn't get this fan for free. It was purchased by my company to use at laser trade shows for showcasing our products. I bought it on AliExpress for about $590, plus shipping, and unfortunately, a tariff. This holographic display comes in a simple, no-frills box. Let's open it up and take a look inside. Here we have the main motor and control circuitry. This is the core of the fan. Here's a view from the back. It also includes manuals in both Chinese and English. There's a small remote control, some mounting hardware, and finally, the 4 LED blades that create the display. Each blade comes individually packed in what looks like a standard clear plastic bag, not the anti-static kind you'd typically expect for electronics. Considering the number of integrated chips on these blades, that's a bit of a questionable choice. A little more ESD protection would have gone a long way. It also comes with this small screwdriver. Now I have to admit, I did open the box earlier and completely forgot to put the power supply back in. Oops, so yes, it does come with a power supply. You're not expected to run this thing on hopes and dreams. Here it is. It actually looks like a well-built unit, pretty beefy. This one outputs 32 volts at 4.5 amps, so you're getting about 144 watts of power. These blades, or as the manual calls them, belts, are labeled A and B. There are 2 of each, and they need to be installed into the matching A and B sockets on the fan body. Let's take a look at the hardware bag. Inside, you'll find an attachment bracket and a set of screws. These 2 larger ones are most likely for mounting to drywall. We won't be needing those. This is the main bracket, and it slides onto the fan body like this. Great. Now we're ready to attach the blades. If you look closely at the PCB inside the fan, you'll see sockets labeled A and B, matching the labels on the LED blades. I'll be using my own screwdriver for this part, since the one included with the fan isn't really up to the task for these tiny Phillips head screws. We're going to start by attaching the A blades. Just look at these, absolutely packed with components. You can see all the tiny LED drivers and other circuitry packed onto the board. And here's the row of miniature RGB LEDs that actually create the image. If I'm not mistaken, there should be around 400 LEDs on each blade. Alright, let's attach it. I'm going to find a socket labeled A and install the matching blade. Just plug it into the socket. It should slide in firmly. For now, I'm not securing the blades with screws just yet. I'll go ahead and plug in all 4 first, and once they're all in place, I'll secure them. This way, the fan stays balanced and won't tip to one side, which makes it much easier to attach the screws. Each blade is secured with 4 tiny black screws, and they'll hold everything firmly in place once installed. Ideally, all of these screws should have a bit of blue thread locker on them. That would help prevent them from loosening over time due to vibration. But alas, it looks like the manufacturer decided to save every last cent. No thread locker in sight. A quick note, the infrared remote needs to be paired with the fan before use. The process is simple. Once the fan is mounted and powered on, press the Match button on the back of the unit. The LED will start blinking. Then, press the match button on the remote to complete the pairing process. To test the fan and temporarily mount it, I used a standard video C-stand as the base and designed a custom attachment bracket which I 3D printed. I'll include the STL file in the video description in case you want to make one yourself. For assembly, you'll need 2 M4 nuts, 2 M4 by 16mm screws, 2 M5 nuts, 2 M5 washers, and 2 M5 by 16mm screws. I attached the included bracket to my 3D printed mount using 2 M5 by 16mm screws and washers. Then, I slid the fan base onto the bracket and secured it using the screws that came with the unit. I was finally able to use the included screwdriver. Turns out it works just fine for these larger screws.
You can see how big this thing is. It's really big. It's a meter. So it's 1 meter. It's about 3.3 feet.
Now for the fun part. Let's plug it in and give it a test. This thing is loud, really loud, but the image quality is actually quite good, especially once it reaches optimal speed. You might notice some flicker in the video, but that's mostly due to the camera's frame rate. To the naked eye, it looks smooth with barely any flicker at all. And it's bright, fully visible even with the lights on. As I was experimenting with the fan, I realized that the so-called holographic effect works because you can clearly see through the spinning blades, which makes the image appear to float in midair. Any part of the video that's black effectively becomes transparent, adding to that floating illusion. As for the 3D effect, that really depends on the content. If you play a regular 2D video, it's going to look flat. For a real 3D feel, you need specially designed visuals. However, as is, this holographic fan isn't suitable for public spaces. Not only is it loud, as you just heard, but it's also potentially dangerous with those fast-spinning props exposed. So, an enclosure is a must. I've already made plans and will be building one very soon. The basic idea is to use 2 transparent acrylic circles, bolted together with long spacers. The back acrylic panel will be securely mounted to an aluminum extrusion rail using T-nuts, and I'll use custom 3D printed brackets I designed to attach everything to the stand. Stay tuned for a full video on that build, and if you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. See you soon.